I've been invited here today to run a workshop, and I was one of the co-authors of the report into care and support planning. Well, the sort of work I do with my company, I'm a leadership coach, so I support individual leaders to improve what they do. And I also do strategy work, so help organisations improve in the health and social care field. And so my workshop was on organisational change and challenges that arise when implementing the Care Act, and in particular care and support planning. To do some really good reflection and thinking with colleagues from other councils on where they're at with the Care Act, in terms of how prepared the council is, any areas they need to put a bit more focus on, and to also hear from me the themes that came up in the research that led to our report for TLAP. So they were able to have a few light bulb moments when they realised it wasn't just them that was struggling with a certain issue. So the aim of the workshop was to get them talking about what they're doing well in a number of infrastructure and organisational issues, and what they might be struggling with, and to hear from their colleagues about that. So it was about resourcing them to feel clearer about what they do well and what they might need to go away and pay attention to. Well, the areas we covered were summarised in the main report. So the thing I would suggest is read the main report on the TLAP website around care and support planning. But if you haven't got time, because you're likely to be very busy thinking, oh my goodness, the Care Act's coming on the 1st of April. So there are some key themes that all organisations seem to struggle with, and they're around, are your IT and finance systems ready for implementing the Care Act, or are they built for a previous era? Are you training your staff in preparation to implement the Care Act, not around the technicalities of the Care Act, but around culture, the different sorts of conversations, particularly frontline staff need to have with people who use services and their families. Have you talked to your providers, and are you developing a different sort of market, or are you expecting that when care and support planning is implemented in your council, traditional services will still be available? You need to be thinking about different types of support that would help individuals remain well, independent, and prevent deterioration. You need to be thinking about health and housing. Many councils who were doing really good work on the Care Act implementation were taking their health and housing colleagues on that journey with them as well. Those that were doing less well, health was semi-detached from the process, and so was housing. And the Act is quite clear that health and housing have responsibilities as well. So a number of things like that. We also talked about making sure the 10 statements we used around what good looks like, so that you start the whole process, not just the front-facing process where the social worker is having the conversation with the client and their carer, but the whole system can satisfy the 10 I statements around what good support planning looks like, and that you're getting the conversations with the individual and the decisions as close to the individual as possible. A number of councils still use quite complex panel systems for funding decisions. They tend to be a long way removed from the client, and people who've never met the client are making quite big decisions about what support the person will or won't get. And I say that in the context that councils are under real pressure financially. It's going to be a difficult year for local government, particularly social services departments, and they're under real increasing demand pressure. So I don't say lightly, don't use panels. You need financial control mechanisms that satisfy you and the members that the resources are well deployed on the right people. But there are better ways to do this than panels, and some of the councils who we listed as best practice were moving away from panels for that reason, because it tended to add delays, duplication, and not get a personalised solution for clients. Well, Arthur Ashe said, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And I think that's as relevant for the Care Act as it was winning Wimbledon.